On Motor Week tonight, Ginny Buckley gets behind the wheel of the all-new VW Golf on sale here in the new year. This week sees the final days of the massive Frankfurt International Motor Show. Mike Rutherford now reports on some of the most significant stories for him.
Now, when we were planning this programme, we were talking in the office about what we'd be concentrating on at the show, what would be interesting, what would be new, some of the surprises we were trying to predict. Nobody had any inclination at all about this thing behind us. David Farquhar, you're from Suzuki, the C2. I mean, what a surprise. Tell us all about it.
It's our new sports car, Mike. It's the successor to the Cappuccino, which we had about 2 years ago in the UK in very limited quantities. It's quite revolutionary because it's powered by a 1.6 litre V8 engine.
Hang on, let's get this right. 1.6 litre V8?
V8.
I didn't think there was such a thing, actually, in this world.
There's never been an engine, as far as we know, quite like it. It's the smallest V8 ever. The advantages are, of course, immensely smooth power and a hell of a lot of it, probably about 170 to 180 brake horsepower.
I mean, it's difficult to... When I first looked at it, I actually thought it was very small, Cappuccino size, but the more you look at it, the more you realise this is more MGF, Mazda MX-5 proportions, perhaps even BMW Z3.
It's touching on that sort of territory, Mike, yes.
And the difference is it has a V8 engine as standard. What are we saying about price at this stage? I mean, I know we can't... This is only a concept car, let's make that clear. The actual production version will be modified. The production version won't have probably the leather wheel arch. It's another first, I think, in automotive history. But I mean, give us...
You'll be able to buy those as an accessory, I'm sure.
I'm sure you will, knowing Suzuki. But I mean, what sort of price guideline can you give us about this car when it goes on sale in Britain next year, probably?
Well, obviously, we're not going to launch a car that isn't competitive, so it's got to be competitive in price. You mentioned the MX-5, you mentioned the MGF. It'll be very competitive as far as those are concerned. We would hope to pursue our usual policy of offering great value for money and bring it in quite substantially below the prices of both of those cars.
Well, we're joined by an old friend of Men and Motors, as somebody very considerately walks just right past us and blocks the view of the car. We're of course joined by Paul Williams from Daihatsu, the managing director. In fact, you've done it again, Paul, another small car.
Yeah, another small car. I'm very excited about the prospects for this car, Mike. I think we're fast becoming synonymous with small cars. With the addition of this car, it'll give us like a very full lineup. In fact, if you're looking for something for less than 13 feet, we've got lots and lots of alternatives now.
There's not a danger you've got too many cars competing in the same sector, that you're competing with yourself almost?
Potentially that is a danger. The key for us is to be able to market those products properly and position them properly. We've got the Move, which is is weird and wonderful and wacky. That's going to appeal to certain people. We've got the Kaori, which is like economy motoring. Yeah? We've got the Grand Move, which is an MPV. This car that we're looking at today is more like a little limo, yeah, and that's going to be for people who are looking for a small car but looking for something slightly different. So the important thing for us is to be able to position the cars. But if we get it wrong, it is potentially a problem. But as I say, Daihatsu is now becoming known for small cars. If we get that right, I'm sure we can be successful with it.
When will we be seeing it?
I would expect to see this car in the UK, and on the assumption that we may have in August or we may not, depending on what happens, that this car will be available for sale next year, just before August.
Confused? You will be. We're with Mitsubishi, the Japanese company, and they're building a vehicle called the L200 pickup truck in Thailand, not Japan. And just to confuse things further, we have here a concept version which is built in America. But the version that you'll be seeing in the UK will be available in two levels. Will look a bit tamer than this, sadly. There'll be one version for the farmers, if you like, and builders, the sort of utility vehicle. Another one higher spec for families, street warriors, anyone else who's interested in a pickup truck. I know it sounds like a crazy idea, pickup truck in Great Britain, but these double cabs that are available on these trucks now mean that you can actually run them as family cars. You can put 4 people in the vehicle. You've got a nice passenger car when you need it. You've got a load lugger when you need it as well. And I think we're going to be seeing an awful lot of activity in this area. Well, Mitsubishi are having a pretty busy time here, which is pretty amazing, because I would have thought they'd save all this stuff up for the Tokyo show next month. But this is yet another world debut, the Mitsubishi Thickness. Now, this is just another concept car. It won't be going on sale. It's, you could say, a cynical attempt to bring people to their stand to get publicity for Mitsubishi. And normally, I wouldn't be reading too much into this vehicle. But, and this is a big but, the very, very popular Mitsubishi Shogun is up for replacement soon. And even the company themselves are saying that when you look at this car here, you can get an idea about what the future Shogun will look like by the Thickness. So here it is, make your own mind up. This is the HSR6, the highly sophisticated transport research vehicle. And I think it's going to go the same way as HSR5, HSR4, HSR3, HSR2 and HSR1. In other words, it's all very clever, gets a lot of people on their stand, but it's not terribly relevant. You will not be seeing this car or anything like it in a showroom near you, which is a shame. Now I know what you're thinking, and you're absolutely right. This is a car launched in 1997 that looks like it could have been launched in 1992, quite frankly. It's the new Mazda 626 estate. 10 out of 10 for hype, but I've got to say,
if the amazing array of German vehicles on display here at the Frankfurt Motor Show isn't testament enough to German technology and ingenuity, then just take a look at this. If you have a problem with car parks, don't worry. All you need to do is get your cars lined up on little kind of railway things. When you want to get your car in and out, you simply press a button. Simple as that. It's so futuristic, perhaps because the centrepiece of their stand is the car of the future, a design study called the AL2. Now it's built out of lightweight aluminium. It's designed to take little space on the roads and be highly effective and efficient, yet still have enough room to sit comfortably 4 people inside it. It's built around the same designs as the A8, the ASF, which is called the Audi Space Frame, and it weighs just 810 kilograms. Now you see so many of these futuristic cars at motor shows, but when a manufacturer like Audi puts its name to it, you realise that this is what we will be driving in the next millennium. In a show that's packed with hundreds and hundreds of cars, there is still one that draws the crowds like quite no other and features on many people's wish lists. After 34 years, it still thrills and excites the driver. Anyone who's had the chance to get behind the wheel would agree it's the ultimate sports car. I'm talking, of course, about the Porsche 911 Carrera. First unveiled here at Frankfurt in 1963. And here's the 911 1997 version.
For Porsche, is most important is that this is an everyday usage car. So this is a sports car, this is a car where there's a lot of emotion in, but not only emotion, we have to handle luggage, we have to handle people, and you can drive to work and you can drive to the racetrack. So we have to integrate all of that.
Now you say to me that this is an everyday usage car, but the 911 surely isn't. It's a sports car, it's raw. Do you not think that by making the inside more luxurious, by making it larger, you've got things like the onboard navigation system, you might be losing some of the raw driver's appeal that the 911 is, famed for and loved for?
Yeah, I think if you look on the market, how the market develops, besides being sporty, you are used to all that equipment. This is additional information. This is additional thing that you need for having fun to drive. Our people have this second or third car. That's the fun. That's the emotion car, and you would like to see some of the equipment that are used from your other car in that car too.
Apart from the obvious changes in size, there are a lot of styling cues that have shout out to me that it's the brother of the Boxster.
We decided to come up with a new family face of the Porsche car line. And the first car that came out with this new face, with this styling ideas, was the Boxster. So we know that anybody calls it now Boxster, but it's not really the Boxster phase, it's the new Porsche phase.
So when will we expect to see it in Britain?
Well, it'll make its UK debut in mid-October at London Motor Show, when we'll announce its price and its UK spec. So yes, another few weeks and it'll be here.
Can you give me any details yet about the price or the spec, what we can expect?
All I can say, it'll be commensurate with current 911 pricing. We don't want to launch the car, any more expensive than the current car, but working hard to do that. So we're talking about mid-60s.
Now, just to look at from the outside, it's a big change, but it's still unmistakably a 911. But it's under the engine, isn't it, that the big changes come? How do you think that sort of the traditional Porsche drivers are going to feel about that?
All I can say is let them drive it. I think that the car has made a quantum leap in its evolution. And how do you replace a car that's arguably one of the most famous sports cars ever?
Well, this is our first close chance here at the Frankfurt show to see the new Mercedes M-Class. We've seen pictures of it before, but not actually seen the car in the flesh. It's Mercedes' foray into the four-wheel drive sport utility market, and very nice it is too. This is the car that's built in Alabama, in the US of A, and it will arrive in Britain about a year's time from now, about September, October 1998, and it's probably going to sell very well. Gone are the days of the old G-Wagon, which used to sell in incredibly small numbers back in UK. I think numbers you could probably count on one hand with the G-Wagon, but this one is going to sell very well indeed. There's already waiting lists at your local Mercedes dealer. Prices are around £30,000, but you get quite a lot for that. It's well equipped with things like air conditioning, airbags, radio cassette players, sunroof, electric windows, all the usual bits and bobs. Leathers and things like that are extra, but for £30,000 it's going to give the likes of the Jeep Grand Cherokee a run for its money, also maybe the top of the range Discovery when that comes along next year, and also maybe even cutting to the Range Rover market. So it'd be interesting to see how the M-Class gets on in the UK next year. It all feels tremendously well made, it's nicely finished off. And by the way, if you're looking at the styling of this car and thinking, I've seen it somewhere before, it's the car that was used in the Jurassic Park 2 film, The Lost World, which was all a bit chunkier, a bit beefier in that film. That was a concept car which they provided for the film, and the M-Class has basically evolved from that. And this is going to sell very well.
Volkswagen dealers will now have two lists of customers eager to buy Passats. The new Passat Estate is out this week, starting at £15,800. The old estate sold very well in the UK. We think it will be another success story. Meanwhile, the Peugeot 306 Estate goes on sale this week, with prices about £1,000 more than the hatch. And the prices for the new Citroën Zara, the ZX replacement, have been announced as starting from £11,760 on the road for the Zara 1.4iX. Stiff competition for the Golf? Find out when Mike Rutherford drives the Zara and shows you the Zara Coupe in Motor Week soon. In Part 2, Ginny drives the Volkswagen Golf Mark IV.
Here's a question for you. You're the manufacturer of a classic vehicle that's been around since 1974. It's topped sales charts in Europe since the 80s and has sold a staggering 17 million. Marks 1, 2 and 3 have evolved quite nicely to make it your company's bestseller, and it's captured the hearts and, more importantly, the checkbooks of motorists everywhere. But it's due a revamp, a Mark IV, to take it into a new millennium. So what do you do? I'm talking, of course, about the Volkswagen Golf. And the answer? Well, just take a look for yourself. Here's the brand new Golf, and here's the old. The new, the old. New, old. Can you spot the difference? At first glance, it may seem as if not much has changed, which of course is very sensible. If you're onto a winner, you stick with it. But take a closer look, because it's actually bigger, roomier, better equipped, and comes with a cracking range of new engines. Oh, and I've got to tell you, it's a bit more expensive too. But it's not as expensive as an Audi A3, and under its skin, this is basically what the Mark IV Golf is. So what exactly is new on it? Well, the rear end hatch has changed. The number plate now nestles in the rear bumper. The lights are different. There's a bit of colour coding here and there, and the wheel arches are bigger. But as I said before, What about those engines?
There's a large number of new engines in the range, and this one we're standing in front of here, the 1.4, is the 75 brake horse engine. It's all new to Volkswagen. It's a light alloy construction, which means that it gives much better performance and much better fuel efficiency.
So with the 70 brake horsepower, that's, I think, the 75 rather, the last model was 60, wasn't it, the entry level? So you're getting an awful lot more power there, aren't you?
Yes, you are. We used to have a 75 in the current range, but this will replace that as well. But as I say, it's much more efficient and gives better performance.
There are 8 engines in the range for you to choose from. The 1.4 entry level, followed by a 1.6 from the Polo's range. 2 1.8s from Audi, both 20 valves. You can wave bye-bye to the 16-valve engines from previous Golfs. The more powerful 1.8 will be the first turbocharged Golf ever, and both will be badged as GTIs. And topping the range will be a new V5, developed for the Passat. And for diesel fans, there are 3 direct injections to tempt you. The new Golf comes with a 3-year mechanical warranty and a 12-year guarantee against corrosion. And VW can offer this safe in the knowledge that they shouldn't get too many complaints. It's because every single new Golf has a fully galvanised body. This makes it a class leader. Many of you may have bought a Golf in the past because of its reputation for safety, and you'll be happy to know that on Golf Mark IV, those safety features have been enhanced. You have ABS, a collapsible steering column and twin airbags. Anti-submarine seats, which means that if you do have a crash, these seats are going to keep you upright. There are pre-tensioners on the seat belts, a strengthened chassis and side impact bars. And all that is just as standard. If you want to drive with even more peace of mind, then you can opt for side airbags and also a 3-point centre rear seat belt. VW are also at the cutting edge of technology when it comes to child safety in cars.
Volkswagen's found out that 70% of parents do not fit their child seats correctly, which is a rather alarming statistic. We've been campaigning for many years for an industry-wide standard of a set fixing mounting points for child seats. Volkswagen is the first person to adopt this standard, which is called ISOFIX. In 6 months' time, other manufacturers will begin to follow, but for now, the Golf is the only car that has these as standard. I'll show you how they work. Every Golf on both sides of the rear seat has 2 metal hoops. These black fixing points go into the hoops, like that. Child seat available from Volkswagen dealers, but within 6 months you'll be able to get them from other places as well with the same standard. You can't go wrong basically. At the back, pull that, 2 feet come out. Indicators at the front are currently red. Just slot them in the fixing points. Those go to green. Simple as that, you can't go wrong.
Safe driving, complete with little beetles on the seat as well.
Absolutely,
added
yes, little Volkswagen touch.
So the changes to the Golf should be becoming more obvious, but of course it's behind the wheel that really counts. So I took to the roads of Bonn in a left hooker to try out the 1.4 engine. And you can immediately feel the extra power that this new 75 brake horsepower 1.4 engine gives you. It's sprightly and it's keen, giving you enough power to nip around town and to give you a good blast out on the open road. It's not power-packed, but for an entry level, it certainly exceeded my expectations. As with the external styling, the inside of Mark IV is still unmistakably a Golf, although there is a bit of a hint of the Passat in here as well. It comes in 3 trim levels, the S, the E and this, the all-singing, all-dancing top-of-the-range SE. Our version has a few optional extras on as well, including this onboard navigation system. Extremely useful when you're driving around the streets of Bonn and you don't know where you're going. Although it's not extremely different, the look is slightly updated and there's still that feeling of German precision, quality and a solid build. After all, you are driving a Golf. If you're a Golf driver already, you'll absolutely love Mark IV. And if you're not, then you'll soon be a convert, knowing that you've chosen sensibly, chosen a car that won't let you down. Don't get me wrong, it's not that the Golf is dull, but it ain't a supermodel either. What it is the friendly, attractive girl next door, the type you'll probably be very happy with for years to come.
No, I'm not doing my bit for the planet. I'm trying to get around a motor show. I think it's the Frankfurt Motor Show, yeah, that's right. And I've been here for 2 days, and it covers several miles. And you might think, what's that whinging old git going on about? All he's got to do is cover a motor show. What's the problem? It covers a lot of ground, so, you know, get stuck in. Well, the problem for me is that these shows are just getting too big. And I think it's about time they start thinking about the people who are attending the shows. In 2 days, even with a bike, I haven't managed to get around the Frankfurt show, and my fear is that what we're going to be seeing in future is shows getting bigger and bigger and bigger. Not because that's what the public want, not because it makes life easier for the public, but because the car manufacturers are trying to outdo each other. You know, in Frankfurt, you can't have Mercedes having a bigger stand than Volkswagen. That's just not done. So, you know, one gets bigger, the other one gets bigger to beat them. Before you know where you are, they start taking over entire conference centres, entire halls of their own. Imagine going to, you know, Hall 4 at the NEC, and one hall is devoted to one manufacturer. Then you want to go and see the next manufacturer, you've got to walk miles to the next hall. It's just a non-starter. We need smaller motor shows, perhaps even local motor shows, which means that people don't have to travel long distances. What's the point in having a London motor show if you live in Scotland? What's the point in having a Birmingham motor show if you live in Cornwall? They're not convenient. We want more local shows. We want them on a smaller scale. We don't want to spend our lives walking around. We don't need to see hundreds of versions of one vehicle. We just need 1 or 2 vehicles. If there's a new Golf, just show us the bloody Golf. We don't need hundreds of them. We don't need tons of space. And most important of all, we don't just need to look, we need to touch and play with the cars too. So what I'm saying is, let's have lots of motor shows at those nice little race circuits around Britain. We've got Thruxton, Brands Hatch, Silverstone obviously, but lots of other smaller race circuits. Croft up in Scotland. These are racetracks that are practically empty all week long and are only occasionally used for a couple of weekends a year. If we got motor shows based around little racetracks all around the country, you could attend the show, you wouldn't have to do too much walking, you'd be able to walk around and see everything, but most important of all, you'd then be able to go out on the circuit and play with your cars afterwards. Do it, please, now.
Next week, what's the Ford Puma like to live with every day? Are the Koreans really a force to be reckoned with? And the Peugeot concept that's not sure if it's for land or for sea, all next week, only on Motor Week.